Hello, I'm Jacob from Jacob's Bookstore, and today we're talking about Lady Midnight, which is book 1 in Dark Armistice, the third trilogy inside the Mortal Instruments. And technically, you do not have to read any part of the Mortal Instruments to actually understand any part of this novel. I do have to say, as a avid reader of the series and me reading them in chronological order, as you guys have been seeing over the past few months, I really do like all the payoffs and stuff. This book in particular didn't have too many of them, and so I don't really think you're going to be, like, super duper confused. But I cannot say that for the rest of the series as I've not finished it. I'm currently in the sequel right now, so far in the sequel, I think you really do need that background information. But that's my opinion. You take however you want. This follows Emma Carstairs as she is hunting down her parents' murders because they believe she was murdered by during the Dark War. I'm not going to talk too much about all that in case you do want to read the Mortal Instruments. And this speaks in 2012 in Los Angeles as we're playing around with the Blackthorn family. The Blackthorn family has like 6 siblings. It's 6 siblings, and they're part of the the Institute. Also, fairies do play a big part of the novel, and it is a much more mature novel, so just keep that in mind. If you want something a little more naive, I would say go with the first Mortal Instruments. Alright, that's my non-spoiler review. Anything going forward from this point will be spoilery talk for Lady Midnight and all my thoughts and opinions, so if you want to see that, just stick around. If you don't, I'll see you guys all next time. Thank you for watching. Alright guys, so we're going to start the spoiler section for Lady Midnight Cassandra Clare. This is, by the way, the only book in this whole entire thing that will get a spoiler section, except for the first books in the new trilogies will get a non-spoiler section. So I'm assuming it follows Emma Carstairs, because that's their main character, and she is hunting for her parents' murderer and stuff in Los Angeles during 2012. This is after the Accords. This is 5 years after the events of City of Heavenly Fire. And I do want to mention, right here, right now, if you do plan on reading the Mortal Instruments, go ahead and walk away. I'm sure I said it in the non-spoilery section, in case you guys are wondering. I am going to be spoiling things based off of characters' relationships and stuff like that. I have a feeling throughout. This book is very long, which means the spoilery vlog will also probably be very long. Just a forewarn. It's just what happens. It's like 700 pages. It's just what happens. I think it's like 700 pages. Are you longer than 700? Oh, I just saw Simon. Why did I just see Simon? What is that for? You have a bonus story at the end. How cute is that? Yeah, it's like 680. I don't have any opinions about it yet. I just want to come in here and start the spoiler vlog telling you that I am starting it. I'll be reading 96% of it tomorrow. So I'll just update you guys tomorrow. And it'll probably be over. You know, they'll have like one more update where I finish the book on my own. But I work tomorrow for 8 hours, and the audiobook is about 9 hours long. And I'm about like an hour in. So we might be able to finish it, or we'll get really close to finishing it, type of thing. All right. I'll see you guys all then. Hello, I'm here to update you guys on Lady Midnight. I read the first 358 pages today at work on audio. This is how I consume. I consume these through audiobooks, which are phenomenal. I highly recommend them. I got a few narrators here and there that I don't like, but most 96% of the time they're pretty great. And I've read a lot of the books on the narrator. First things first, I want to mention that you could possibly read this without reading any of the others. I am going to do a quick checkup on our favorite characters halfway through the novel, where they're at and what they're doing with their lives. So Clary and Jace are happily in love. No one's shocked. Magnus and Alec have now gotten married, even though it has been officially you can get married to anybody, basically, in the Clave, which is really, really nice. But they still haven't. We haven't really talked about it. Simon and Isabel have only been mentioned by name. Simon has shown up in person once, but it was only in passing. Magnus has shown up in once, and he's in like a very small little scene. So that's all we got for the characters in previous books. This book follows Emma Carstairs and Julian Blackthorn. If I pronounce any names wrong, I'm very, very sorry. And it is about Emma trying to get this murderer. Basically, her parents were murdered during the war with Jonathan, which is Clary's brother, and the Clave just wrote it off as another victim of the war, of the Dark War, I think is what they ended up calling it. And it's been proven time and time again that it's not. Some other big fallouts you kind of need to know about before you get started is that their brother Mark, or Julian's brother Mark, was taken by the Oh my god, I've heard so many times. What is the Watch? This is Wild Hunt. Got it. So we have Mark was taken by the Wild Hunt during the Dark Wars as well, which is down to the fairies, and this book takes place directly through the fairies. The prologue takes place in the Shadow Market, this one, which is my next bind-up that I will be reading this fall's Brother Zachariah. We've also met a few of the Silent Brothers. Brother Zachariah is a very interesting character because he is now Gem, he's married, and like, I don't know if he's married, but he's like with Tessa and stuff by this point in the story, that I don't really know if he is actually Brother Zachariah anymore. That whole thing really does confuse me, so I'm extremely curious to read this. But with the other characters, so there's a murder going around. Both Shadowhunters and Fairy Folk are getting murdered in Los Angeles and having these markings left on their bodies that no one can read. Just like Emma Carstairs' mother and father were murdered and living with these marks. The Clave are ignoring them because mostly the people are dying are Fair Folk, and the Clave do not get along because directly the Queen of Fairy was in direct relations with Jonathan during the Dark War and helped him try to win that war. And so basically they're like, you can't talk to them, you can't do anything with them, and so it's really against the law. There's a lot of things in here they break the law with, but that's one of the bigger ones. So one day, with a whole bunch of stuff going on, Emma's whole entire life is dedicated to trying to figure out who these killers are, and she finally gets a lead and gets in trouble for getting a lead, but she finally gets a lead by being at a crime scene and seeing what she maybe thinks is a murderer. And now they're guessing it's possibly could be a Shadowhunter as well, which is really interesting. We're not there yet. I'm trying to catch up. I don't talk about my opinions as we go through it. And I mean, I've read 400 pages today. Okay, there's a lot to cover. Jacob, stay on one thought. So basically, the Wild Hunt shows up and they say, hey, our people are dying. No one's doing shit about it. Can you please catch this murderer, bring them into me so they can be trialed in Fairy, which will have worse sentences than trialed by the Clave. And they're like, well, what's the point? What's our reward? They show with Mark. Mark is given to them for 2 weeks. And their grandfather or their uncle, I think it's their uncle who I think is sick and dying by this point in the story. And they agree to allow Mark to stay if they hunt down this murderer, which they were already going to do anyways, and so now Mark is home. They've been torturing Mark for years and years, which we have seen from previous novels. Mark is a very interesting and complex character that I just love and I adore. I like how cute he is in moments. I like how serious he is in others. He's definitely a character that's really transcended past the screen. Julian is a very closed-minded, very, not closed-minded, very concealed character. Because he keeps everything inside. He has to be this huge, like, father figure to, like, 6 children. It makes a lot of sense. He's had to do it for a very long time. Emma is in love with Julian, and she also has the burden of her parents' murders, and so she's also a very interesting character to run under, but I like Julia better, which is someone who is a part of the whole arcing story, but she's just somebody at the institute that they're at. She pops up every once in a while, and she definitely likes Mark. But Mark is in a relationship with Kieran, who is the Prince of Fairy, and they've been in a relationship because the prince got outlawed. We still don't know why yet, but they got into a relationship while he was on the Wild Hunt, and they fell in love. It's very beautiful, and I was just like so happy. I was like, yay, gays, we need it. I love it. And I kind of had an idea that one of them would be gay, but I wasn't sure who. I kind of wished for a lesbian couple, just because we have not got a lot of lesbian rep in here. Even bi rep, any type of rep other than gay rep is really like the main ones. There's been a few other characters in the past, but like nothing significant like this character is, but I really do like it. Emma is in love with Julian, like I've mentioned, but they're parabatai, because when the Dark War is going on, Emma was going to get shipped off to this like whole other place, and so they announced that they're become parabatai, so they have to stay together no matter what. But Julian's also in love with Emma, and this is something we develop over the whole the first 50% of the book. And they were just at a ball with fairies, and they had a very intimate moment on the scene, and it was pretty cute and pretty hot, and I really liked it, and I'm really excited to see where that goes. I'm very invested. I'm also trying to figure out who the murderer is. I still have yet to get done At one moment, I was like, maybe it's Mark, because I could see that being a thing. Could also see Fairy killing off fairies to betray the Shadowhunters, and I could see that being a whole conspiracy thing. And so I've yet to really get it down. I'm not done with chapter 15, and I think by the end of 15 they have an idea. I do think it has somebody a part of Shadowhunters is a part of it. Magnus has not been brought up yet, but I'm pretty sure Magnus will show up, and Clary and Emma have been really close friends since she met her when she was like 10. So I'm also very sure. But they went to a whole bunch of different downward parties. It was really, they just went to a party, which was really cool. I really liked it. It reminded me a lot of the Clockwork Prince, I want to say it was. Is that the second one? Clockwork Prince, maybe it's Clockwork, no, is it Go Clockwork Angel, Clockwork Prince? But then you have 2 weeks to solve it, so the book takes place in 2 weeks, so I think mentioned. And Emma and Mark keep running off together and doing all these, like, wild hunting sprees. But it's also been really entertaining. I really like the book. I think the book is really fun. I'm really invested. I have a lot of questions. I have a lot of theories. And I won't lie to you, I was a little sad I didn't get further in it, because I was really hoping to get maybe, like, this far into it and have, like, this much left. But it is what it is. We have, like, not so many chapters left, but I'd say, I don't know if it's my favorite yet. I won't know until it's over. I do wonder, because a lot of this stuff seems like it's going to be wrapping up in this time period of the novel, how there's 3 books in it. And I do know that this is the one series that gets extremely, like, this is the most adult the books get so far. I don't know how adult Chain of Iron is, or Chain of Gold is. But I know this is, like, the most adult. And this is the best Cassie Clare's ever written by the end. And so I'm really excited. I'm really excited. I'm really enjoying myself. I highly recommend you haven't picked it up so far. I mean, I'm spoiling the shit out of it, but, like, I'm still having a great time. Alright, that's my update for you. I'll update you guys when I have something to tell you guys about. I mean, that's how these work. Okay, so I figured I'd come in here. I am in the middle of reading Lady Midnight. I think the goal is just to kind of read along with it tonight when I go to bed to try to finish it. I would love to finish it, but I figured I would update you guys. So basically, some of the things that are being extremely confirmed is that Mark is having mixed feelings. He is both in love with Emma, or he thinks he could fall in love with Emma and be in love with Kieran. Kieran also, I don't remember if I had the context before, is someone who is of royalty in the Sealy court, and so that's very interesting. And something else we've learned is that we, like I had guessed really early on in the book, that someone in the Sealy, and I think someone else in the Shadowhunter, just kind of like how it was in the end of the Mortal Instruments and the Mortal War, or I don't remember what they called that, the Fire War or something like that, the Great War, I can't remember what they called it. At the end of that, it was the same thing. That's why the Sealies were, taken away. But there was a saying that they used to say, that they used to torment him with, which, first the flame, and then the flood, and it's the end of the Blackthorn blood. And it's very similar to the one that they're doing right now, which is, they can be interchanged. Emma got a lead, and she went searching for this lead alone because her and Julian are kind of at odds because they're both in love with each other, and so they don't really know how to deal with those feelings because they've always been taught from a very young age, well, from the time that you become paraptai, you cannot fall in love with your paraptai. It's extremely wrong, very against the thing. I mean, we just read a whole book about it, so it's not really that shocking that it's being discussed here, and I think it's being discussed really well. I think that's something I have to give props to, is one, the story is darker, it's a lot more mature than the other books, which was something I heard a lot going into this book, was the fact of how deep Cassandra Clare goes, and I've yet to cry. I don't think I'm going to cry in this one. If I cry in any of them, it'll be in sequels, as I'm just starting to learn, unless someone, like I have a few faves, they die, maybe a tear or two, you never know. But the biggest things I'm going to take away from this is I really like the love that is being shown both between the siblings, then also between Julian and Emma. I'm really liking it. I also really like the character of Christina. I think she was an interesting character I didn't really pay attention to. She's had a few different scenes here or there where it's really focused on her. I really like her. I really enjoy her. And then, basically, we learn that whatever is going on, it's going on beneath the sea. There's demons underneath the sea, and Emma gets pulled under, and she's drowning, basically. Now we're going back in time to Idris of 2019. Idris of 2009. And we will figure out kind of what happens from there. I had some kind of idea that was going to take place because, like, this is under the sea and stuff. I was curious to see. It doesn't show me. Oh, there isn't. The one that I saw had a really... I have an update for you for Lady Midnight. My update is Emma and Julian just had sex. I want to mention that it took Simon and Isabel like 8 books to have sex, Clary and Jace 6 books to have sex, and maybe they didn't have sex, maybe they just really had a really hot, intimate makeout sessions, but I'm going to read you Exhibit A lines where I'm pretty sure they had sex, okay? And this is just because I've written sex scenes, and I've read a lot of sex scenes, and which make it more clear based on verbiage. Keyword here. The way he dissolved himself into her... Okay, hold on. The feel of his hands closing on her shoulders, the drowning gasp he made, the way he dissolved into her as he lost himself. To the last moment of her life, she thought she recalled the buried his face against her neck and said her name over and over. Now, I do believe that I don't believe she was a virgin because they had talked about it before. Not that it matters. It really doesn't matter. The characters, that's not something that matters. We've also had, I think, another somewhat sex scene, but it's very loosely, so I wouldn't really count it between Mark and Calvin. But yeah, she just almost drowned, and then they're like, oh, it's bang. In typical Cassandra Clare fashion. I'm just kidding. Cassandra Clare wouldn't do this. I was really shocked. I was really happy, though. I was like, they're kissing. I can't believe they're kissing. And by the way, they're looking at wavelines and convergences. Is something I didn't mention in the last clip. So that's what she almost died from. I'm just really nervous to see how badly this is, like, going to blow up. So, I got it. Let's figure out the aftermath. I'll update you guys soon. Okay, so I don't tend to film while I'm at work because of, like, several reasons. But I should be home for the rest of my lunch, as my best guess. And I just finished Lady Midnight. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I liked it, but I didn't love it. I think this is going to be a book that I really do love by the end. It was actually going to be a 3, I think, which is, I think, really sad. I think a lot of people would get mad at me if they saw me give it a 3. But I do have a whole ratings video. I'll link it down below in case you guys are curious. The biggest takeaways from, like, the last, like, I don't know, it's like 20% of the novel were the fact that the son was the long-lost Herondale. That was shocking. I was, like, in my head screaming, oh my god, what the fuck? Over and over again, because I was like, that's so shocking. I really liked the final conflict between Malcolm and Emma. I think that was really well done. Whatever, I just enjoyed all of that. I thought that was really good. I continue to hate Robert Whitewood. I don't think that's ever gonna change. Every time he's in the book, I'm just super duper annoyed, and so any part of him, I was just annoyed in general. And so I think they kind of figured out what the books are gonna be about for the rest of the ones. So they just the epilogue is where she wakes up and, like, she's like, oh, I'm gonna kill you guys. The poem is finally awoken, and Malcolm's wish. So does that mean one of them died? That I'm curious about. But also the whole parapetite thing. I think it's gonna be fully explored. Supposedly it's all done by, like, magic. Is the reason why people are not supposed to fall in love is that they go insane, crazy, and so I'm wondering if we're gonna have, like, retales of that. It's never been talked about before. I'm wondering if that's in the goes to the Shadow Market books. I'm curious, it's a novella. And then also Kieran and Mark, because Mark and Emma just got to a relationship, so I'm curious to see how all that will play out. I was gonna really applaud the book for not having a love triangle, and I wouldn't even really say this is a love triangle in general anyways, so I'm gonna applaud the book for that. I'm also gonna applaud the book because normally it's the male character in Cassie Clare's books that are the typical asshole, and so I liked it being Emma being the one who's a lot more coarse, and Julian being the one that's a lot more emotional and a lot more empathetic and stuff. I thought that was a nice switch. Overall, really liked the book. I hope you guys liked. I'm gonna try to do something a little different from the next reading vlog. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed, if you guys did, please leave me a big fat thumbs up. Don't forget to comment down below, hit the subscribe button.